Welcome back, everybody. I'm Brent Musburger. Well, UNLV, and they really are in familiar waters as far as Jari Tarkanian and the Runnin Rebs are concerned. Look at how they have achieved such great success. 8 times to the Sweet 16 under Tarkanian, then to the Final 8 3 times. Now there's some peaks to climb. They've been there twice, but they've never come away as national champions. And Billy Packer, I really get the feeling that they're very confident this year. They think this is their team, but they're matched against Ball State. And what about their coach, Dick Hunsaker?
Dick Hunsaker did a great job here this year, inherited a team with 9 seniors, Brent. They right now have the second longest winning streak in the country at 9. They've only ever beaten in the history of the school 3 top 20 teams, 2 of them last weekend. So for a young coach, he's doing a great job.
You know, one thing, Billy, they don't back away, and Paris McCurdy is one of the ringleaders.
He certainly is a ringleader. He didn't back away on Peyton from Oregon State. He won't do it here tonight. Probably matched up a time or 2 with Larry Johnson.
How do you win? Defense. Blanket coverage. When they played the Oregon State Beavers, there was that coverage. 31% from the field. Then against the Louisville Cardinals, it was one Cardinal to another. And Denny Crum is back home. But for Las Vegas, there is a man, Larry Johnson.
Very difficult to cover in the low post. Runs the court extremely well. Was the MVP of both the league and the tournament in the Big West. One of the nation's truly great players and a consensus All-American.
How about Stacey Augmon, the former Olympian?
Former Olympian is right. A great leader on this club. An excellent defender, runs the court, and probably finishes on the break as well as any basketball player in America.
Well, here's what the Shark, Jari Tarkanian, and Hunsaker had to say about this matchup.
Well, you know, they jammed the post real well. They doubled down real well. They do a great job defensively. They pretty much try to encourage you to try to beat them from the outside.
We can't attack UNLV. I mean, we've got to do some things to try to diffuse their running game and their aggressive defensive play.
Physically, they're equal to anybody in the country. I think they're strong, they're quick, they're deep. You know, but we like to play a running game, and we like to play pressure defense, and we're going to play the way we like to play.
We've got to really sustain concentration on the defensive end and not have a breakdown there, because, you know, again, you bat an eye and it's like on the craps table or the blackjack table in Vegas, and you got a stack in front of you and it's going to be gone.
Well, both came out of Salt Lake City in the first 2 rounds. Ball State over Oregon State, 54-53 and then 62-60, so they like it low scoring. Now, as for the Runnin Rebs, they got here beating Arkansas Little Rock and put 102 points on the board. And then Ohio State and the Buckeyes limited down into the 70s. So Tarkanian would like a higher scoring game than Hunsaker would here tonight. And there are the starting lineups. McCurdy, Thompson, Kidd, Butts, and Nichols against Augmon, Johnson, Butler, Hunt, and Anthony. Billy, tell me about Thompson for Ball State.
One of the truly great offensive players we've seen in the tournament. He's got explosive leaping ability. They credit him with a 43-inch vertical leap. Brent, I'd have to see that to believe it. I've really never seen one in college basketball. But he is not only an explosive leaper, he's got a great body on him. You can see right there, 220 pounds, and probably is the go-to guy against Vegas early on.
Will he be able to do anything on the low blocks against David Butler and Johnson?
I think that he can. I think that he might be a little quicker than Johnson, and obviously Butler is a guy with that wingspan and his great defensive ability, but he doesn't have the power of a Thompson.
Pete Pavia, veteran official, lead referee, working with Gene Manji and Dick Paparo. Already here tonight, a short time ago, the great Loyola Marymount saga continued as they pulled one out against Alabama, which has slowed it down. 62-60 was the final, and they scored in the last 30 seconds to win that one. So here's the Shark going back into that tank one more time with the Runnin Rebs. We'll see that familiar towel before long. You can bet on that.
Well, Brent, one of the things Loyola Marymount proved tonight is that they can play the kind of game a Ball State would like. Jari Tarkanian doesn't have to prove that. His club is much more flexible as far as their past history is concerned. They can run, or if you want to play a slow game, they can play enough defense to stay with you.
Tap controlled by Vegas. And Anthony, who has now more flexibility in that jaw, not as much wiring in there as he used to have a month ago. Butler bangs one down, and the Runnin Rebs lead. There'll be a different pace to this game.
Great man-to-man by both clubs.
McCurdy coming out high, and UNLV all over them with a very aggressive, smothering man-to-man.
Good pace.
And the first foul goes against Johnson.
Excellent change off the pass by McCurdy.
No basket.
First, McCurdy hit the big three that buried Oregon State. The two-point jumper with very little time left, and then the key foul shot with no time left.
Nichols didn't take a shot up in Salt Lake. He runs the show. Kidd on the turnaround ties it up.
Kidd, 44, Kidd.
Anthony, bounce pass to Johnson, who hangs and hits a smooth jump shot coming through the lanes.
Both teams really know how to feed the post and work down in there extremely well. With Kidd and McCurdy, Johnson and Butler.
Kidd has the ball knocked out of bounds. Ball State possession.
On the year, Kidd off almost 4 points in what he scored last year.
Here's Thompson. And great defense on the inside. Ball is lost, however. McCurdy's got it back. He's not a good ball handler. I mean, folks, it's an adventure when he gets the ball. It is something.
He dribbled 2 of those with the palms of his hand.
But he runs down another one after Billy Butts missed the 3. Nichols again out on top. Butts, McCurdy, Kidd, and here's their stall. Thompson takes his shot back outside, and a foul on Hunt. Billy, where was Chandler Thompson last year when we saw Ball State at Indianapolis?
He was sitting out, recruited by Rick Majerus right out of high school. And in the mind of Rick Majerus, who was an outstanding recruiter for all those years under Al McGuire, he felt that Chandler was the finest recruit as far as his ability to play the game that he had ever been involved with. That's taken in a lot of territory.
Perhaps a little nervous here in the early going. He shot that free throw a little too hard. He'll have his moments before this one's over. And his coach, Dick Hunsinger. Now Anthony brings it down. Hunt has been in a shooting slump from the perimeter for Las Vegas, and certainly the Runnin Rebs would like to get him on track.
Looking to go inside, but you can see Ball State, everybody inside 15 feet. They're letting him have that jump shot.
And it's the Cardinals. This is a very veteran team. A couple of them played on that Arkansas Little Rock team that upset Notre Dame a few years ago. But it won't fall for Kidd. And now Augmon.
Great defensive balance that time by Ball State, getting back. Normally Stacey Augmon would be off to the races on that play.
Let's let the ball go out of bounds, and it's Ball State's ball.
And Brent, the same thing is happening to UNLV that happened to Louisville. They're given the outside shot, anything on the perimeter, they're just not getting it to go. Hunt's really playing Nichols tight for a man that you know is not going to shoot much.
Nichols has a very quick step.
Powerful.
Away from the ball, and McCurdy was backing into Johnson. Offensive foul on Paris McCurdy. He beat Oregon State in their first game with no time on the clock when he sank the winning free throw after he hit a little baseline shot that had tied it up. And he also was able to psych Gary Payton out. One of the all-time talkers in college basketball, and he went to work on him. Johnson with the good D. Short.
Great defense by Kidd. Has his hand straight up on Larry Johnson. Didn't commit the foul. And notice how Ball State, again, playing everybody back in the paint. Giving up that jump shot.
Defense right in front of Hunsinger here in the first half. Johnson.
Look at his dad.
Well, that's one way to hit the three. It's 7-3 now. UNLV with a 4-point lead on Ball State.
And Brent, Larry Johnson can move out and take that shot. I mean, he's got a good jumper. Normally is in the low post, doesn't need to use it.
In low, and the foul is against Vegas.
You see the form on Larry Johnson, squares up nicely. Nobody guarding him. They're letting him have the shot. Then Kidd goes for the block out. This ball bounces up a good 17 feet before it comes back down and through.
2 fouls on Hunt in the early going. So Coach Tarkanian will have to think about trying somebody there. Is Curtis Kidd, one of the Detroit connection. Boy, we've seen a lot of great players in this tournament out of Detroit do well.
Brent, I think that Jerry Tarkanian could be thinking about Bice, who's been an outstanding three-point shooter. Had the chicken pox and was out for a number of games, but the kind of guy who might be able to come in and extend that defense a little bit.
Into Augmon's game. This is Anthony. Switch. Ball. Rebounded by Chandler Thompson. McCurdy puts it down and hits the running jumper.
He just makes them go in. They never look pretty. He is some competitor.
1-point game. Butler into Johnson. Johnson was mugged, and that foul called on Kidd. That's his first.
44, Curtis Kidd.
Larry Johnson goes from the Junior College Player of the Year in the country last year to what many think is the National Player of the Year on the...
You know, the Southwest Conference is having a great conclusion of the season with Texas playing Arkansas for a regional final, but their greatest loss of the year was letting Larry Johnson get away from those schools down there. He's a real warrior, and he has said publicly that he's going to come back and play for the Runnin' Rebs next year and not sign early and go to professional basketball in the NBA.
Well, the Southwest Conference had him. And the fact that SMU signed him initially.
We've got a timeout. It's 9-6. UNLV with a 3-point lead. Well, Billy, let's see if we can come up with 10 reasons why we like Ball State. First of all, it's located in a tremendous place. Muncie, Indiana, basketball hotbed. There's the student enrollment. David Letterman you know about, but Jim Davis, he created Garfield. How many of you have got a little Garfield there tacked to the window of your car when you're driving around it? Great feline character. I'm sure Billy Packer's familiar with that.
Of course, Muncie also the home of some great high school basketball.
McCurdy missed the layup. Thompson gets it back, doing the job. Missed the turnaround, and still Ball State battling away.
Oh, and Kidd's going to get called for the foul. And the problem was Larry Johnson is so strong, he just retained control of that ball. Does that look like Karl Malone a little bit there? Watch Larry Johnson. Once he gets his hands on the ball, and Kidd weighs 250, he just throws him down. I didn't think there was a foul involved in the play. We're going to see some banging down inside now.
Game still looking for a personality. Johnson couldn't get that one to fall, but Huntlin comes back. Tapped in. Was it up on the rim? They said it was off the rim. Hunziker said it was basket interference. He's upset over there on the Ball State sideline, but the officials ruled that it was off when it was tapped back in. So it's 11-6.
Superior height that time created that basket.
That would seem to be the matchup difference. There is a height advantage for the Runnin' Rebs. Johnson now off into the hands of Anthony. Here's a 3-on-2 lob.
Brent, he fit it. Now there's going to be a technical down here if Dick Hunziker doesn't give up that ball. He might have called a timeout in time.
The man from Havre, Montana is upset. We'll be right back. Well, Billy Packer, just as I thought, this was a good tap.
I didn't agree with you on this. I think it's still in contact with the rim. I know you guys are saying it's going on the way out, but there it's still up there, and he touches it right there and smooths it back over.
Folks out there in TV lands, you all agree with me, right? Take a vote. Oh, you won some months ago?
Let me say this. You're right, because the ref didn't call it.
13-6 now, Billy. Ball State, McCurdy working away, and Johnson off with the rebound. He's the warrior. He's the matchup problem for Ball State tonight. It's going to be Johnson. And McCurdy, Butler hit him. And then Hunt, is that his third personal? Yes, it is. He'll sit now, and they'll probably bring in Bice now. Won't they, Travis Bice off that bench?
Yeah, he's going to come in. Now, it does two things. One good and one bad for Jerry Tarkanian. He doesn't play the defense, obviously, that Anderson Hunt does, but he has a very good stroke from the outside, so he will extend the defense for Ball State. They're going to have to play him on that perimeter.
He doesn't go to the same bodybuilder as Larry Johnson either, I see. Forces the turnover, though. He helped out. Look at Augmon put it down and back from Johnson. Beautiful two-man break with a couple of the big fellas busting out for the Rebs.
I don't think I'm going overboard when I say Stacey Augmon finishes the break better than anybody in college basketball.
Nichols won't take it. Should have taken the shot that time. Swinging out of there powerfully now is Augmon. Vegas on a 9-0 run. 15-6 lead here against Ball State.
Billy butts on Travis Bice, and he understands what he's in the game for.
He missed the three, and Kidd was too aggressive on the rebound. Lost the handle underneath. And it goes over to UNLV, and another sub will check in. Greg Miller, a 6'8" senior out of Yorktown, Indiana, on the floor here for the Cardinals.
For Chandler Thompson.
Augmon off. And fouled in the process.
When Stacey goes to the basket, I know he's listed at 6'6", but he goes to the basket like he's about 6'10". Because he elevates so beautifully up at the basket. Now watch him right here. I mean, he is in the air. He's dropping that ball down so quick.
Sean Parrish committing the personal.
Off the line, shooting 1.
An early lead, 17-6. And here comes one of the quiet fellas, most scurry.
Now we see some real pushing.
And Johnson will sit down.
Well, you know, one of the things about McCurdy and Kidd, they do a lot of pushing, but, you know, it's all within the framework of good, clean basketball. I haven't seen them take a cheap shot in all the games I've watched them play.
There's a contrast. Good, clean basketball. Push, driving layup, and down the floor come the runner Rebs. Bice will take it. Contact underneath that time, and Moses didn't take him long to get into the box score with his first personal.
Travis Bice can get a better shot than that one. He might have been confused with the three-point line in the NBA, which is down on the floor, because that one was almost in that range.
Yeah, but disagreement. Moses Scurry's the kind of guy you'd like to have on your side, though.
Oh, I'd like to have McCurdy and Kidd on my side, too.
No points by either backcourt. Kidd gets it back. Went down, took a blow. Goes to run it down, and he saved it just in time. A neat save. The three banged in by Greg Miller. What's that 6'8" fella out there doing now? Coming back.
That's the second that I think Miller thought that was the three-point line as well. He went right up. He and Bice were confused.
That's the three-point line for Chris Muller.
That's right.
Nice to have you with us. That was Curtis Kidd, number 44, hitting the turnaround for Ball State. 1911, UNLV in the white with the ball and with the lead. And Billy Butler misses on the iron. Here he is. The old miss, he lost it and rolled down his arm. And coming up is Scurry underneath, and they're going to need some whistles here underneath pretty soon to clean this up. Why not give the folks an overview here?
Well, it's the third round. And we've had 2 knockdowns, but no knockouts. Paddling
back after it was Miller, and he was fouled. Ball State only 4 of 14 here in the Oakland Coliseum in the early going of this West Regional semifinal. The winner to move along and play Loyola Marymount for the regional final and a spot in Denver on Sunday afternoon. Hunt is on the bench for the Rebs with 3 personal fouls, and Stacey Augmon, the great defensive star, is off to a very positive offensive start with 8 points for the Runnin Rebs. And now Greg Miller off the bench, who has played very well here in the early going. Hit a 3 just a moment ago before you joined us. And Ball State climbs back to within 6. 11:30 to go, first half. Dick Hunsaker is the Ball State coach. He's up there in the background. He was raised in Havre, Montana. Went to high school down in Dallas, Texas. Yanked away by Ball State, and it is Miller who has come in and changed the game up off Hunsaker's bench. He's going to launch another 3. Boy, this would have really excited the crowd if he'd hit 2 quick ones. Here's Bice.
The coaches who want to see what floor violence is all about ought to watch Ball State. They just don't give you layups. What funny shot selection in this game for both teams.
McCurdy. And into the hands of Mike Spicer, out in Grand Rapids, Michigan, who's also on the floor running things now.
Jerry Tarkanian changing his defense, goes to his zone now. With the change of guard play, butts out of the game, not worried about the perimeter shot.
Get it back to Spicer. Moves the ball. And out Johnson into the hands of Anthony. Anthony's Augmon.
Oh, right-handed. Block, beautiful.
Great defense down the inside. And let's see now. Yeah, it's going to go over. The signal was incorrect. It's going to go over to Ball State.
Great block by Cross on Stacey Augmon, who changed it to the right hand. You can see him come back. Stays right with it, and Stacey fighting on the inside. Moses Scurry. This game is very frenetic.
Emmanuel crossed him up, didn't he? And Barry Young.
I like that line.
Checks in. Emmanuel Cross is out of Chicago for Ball State. 19-13 now. 10-15.
Stacey Sianovich in, so both teams go into a different backcourt look.
Both coaches getting ready for the altitude in Denver.
There's that zone defense by Jerry Tarkanian. Primarily a man-to-man guy, but doesn't mind going to his zone. Matching up out of the 1-3-1.
Very aggressive Rebel defense. I love to watch the way they play defense. Oh, and a beautiful play by Parrish. Put it down and put him on the line. Hey, this bench of Ball State is impressive.
Well, Parrish is an honorable mention all-conference player who only got an opportunity to start 3 games. Shows you how valuable he's been coming off that bench. It's an excellent move. Goes right on by as Larry Johnson tried to cut off the baseline. Parrish went right by him to the inside. Nobody from the weak side to help out.
9-2 Ball State run. They were down by 11, 17-6. They've never been ahead. The game was tied once.
Jerry Tarkanian in a little trouble with his normal lineup because Anderson Hunt picked up 3 fouls in a row, so he's got a very unusual backcourt this early in the game.
Ball State is back to within 3. And these are lovable junkyard dogs out here for the Cardinals. They don't quit. Butler, this off the pretty foul against Johnson, I believe. Yes, it is. It's going to be his second.
Well, Parrish and McCurdy, Miller, and Kidd, when he was in there, they're just doing a great job of blocking out. The old fundamental triangle on the ball, just not letting anybody come in there unless they go over your back, and then you pick up the foul.
I defy anybody to show me one of those filled-in bracket sheets that show Loyola Marymount and Ball State play for the West Region.
Anywhere. Well, there's some people that did 2,000 of them, and they pull one out of their pocket somewhere.
After the fact jobs.
30's just a 69% free throw shooter, but it seems like every time we're watching him, Brent, he drills it.
He hit a huge one up there in Salt Lake to eliminate Oregon State. Now it's a one-point game. Down by 11. They have closed back in with their bench. Misfire on the outside. Johnson inside. That's the man for Vegas.
Parrish caught another right hook. He's almost down for the count.
Larry Johnson is a lovable giant. He was a amateur boxer for several years, but the people of Las Vegas call him the most cooperative athlete that perhaps they've ever had. With all the interviews with the press and everything, Larry always says yes, always accommodates everybody, and great leader for this team in a quiet way.
Way up.
Bringing it up, he and Bison that backcourt for Tarkanian right now. And here is Young.
Young was known as a shooter, but he hadn't put up much outside.
Vice will.
Good block out.
Well, I'll tell you, that's hard-working Sean Parrish with another rebound. 21-18 now, 8:30 first half.
Chandler Thompson ready to come back in, and this club's been doing most of this with Kidd and Thompson on the bench.
Knocked away from McCurdy. They forced the turnover, leading it by 3.
Parrish on Johnson, but everybody helping from the weak side. You notice McCurdy.
Here's Johnson. That's the play they're going to have to stop before the night's over if they want to get in this.
Well, Brent, there's just tremendous help here defensively. They're giving the outside shot. Parrish just doing the best job he can. You can see McCurdy coming back in to help out, but Larry Johnson just so strong in there. Holding him off with one hand, putting it back up with the other.
If Don Nelson is in his building, he's drooling. And that's 11 points and 7 rebounds for Johnson already.
2 red, 2 white. We got 1 shot.
Johnson,
So #1 player in the World University team. Played for Gene Katie.
We've got a timeout with 7:59. UNLV 24 and Ball State 18.
It's Wednesday morning in Fort.
And the winner here to move to that regional final in the West. And then the champion of the regional will go to Denver for next weekend's Final Four. Minnesota shocking Syracuse tonight in New Orleans. Michigan State and Georgia Tech. The #1 seed in that region against the #4, and that figures to go right down to the wire. And here, Chandler Thompson back on the floor, #4 for Ball State. They'll try to get him involved. He gets a rebound right away. Coming up, he's fouled. That counts. Right away he contributes, and at halftime, Georgia Tech with a lead on Michigan State. And Billy, it's interesting, a lot of the basketball folks around here say to me that Georgia Tech is a team to keep an eye on now as the rest of this championship unfolds. You're more familiar with it than I am. You agree with that?
Well, I think a lot of, you know, the more we see, Brent, I don't know who to keep an eye on.
The more you see, the less you know, right?
Exactly, like you just said before. Who had Loyola playing against Ball State at this stage? But that may not happen yet tonight. But Georgia Tech obviously really has 3 of the best players in America on the same team. Kenny Anderson's the kind of guy in a close ball game is the man you want to have the ball in his hands in a tournament like this. He makes good decisions.
McCurdy blew the layup, got it. Misfired that time. Vegas ball. They got a tremendous work ethic with this Ball State team. Nothing's going to come easy against UNLV here tonight.
Back in here now, playing a little zone.
Scurry back on the inside with Johnson being given a breather here in the first half. Anthony with a great move. Scurry couldn't get the handle. They turn it over.
Moses tried to make the play before he made the catch. In the zone again, they're defying UNLV to take the outside shot. Whoever would have thought the day would come when the Sharks team wouldn't be shooting the perimeter well.
Scurry was pushed. He'll be at that free throw line for a pair. Well, tomorrow a couple of regional finals. Duke and Connecticut in the Meadowlands. And then back down to Barnhill South in Dallas, Texas. Texas against Arkansas.
For Larry Johnson.
Wonder how the crowd will react with our friend Nolan Richardson.
Well, Arkansas has got 2 wins over them this year. Of course, one of them played in Texas, not the same arena, but Nolan's club looked very good against North Carolina. Extremely young team, but very talented.
And one.
And Brent, as you pointed out, the Detroit players just keep piling up. McCurdy and Kidd. Anderson, Hunt, so we've got 3 majors right here in this game. Now that zone's packed way in there. 2-1-2 and McCurdy in the middle.
McCurdy fouling Butler on the turnaround. So with Billy Packer here in Oakland, I'm Brent Musburger, the second of our West Regional matchups tonight. Loyola Marymount beating Alabama by 2 points, 62-60 in our first game. Wimp Sanderson did a tremendous job of slowing the clock down against the Lions. But the team out of Southern California is a survivor.
And Brett, they survived with great defense. When they needed to really get down and grab it, they didn't do it with the offense. They just did it with pressure defense, did a lot of good play out on the perimeter. They just would not be denied, even though they were much smaller on the baseline.
Now it's a 4-point lead. UNLV's biggest lead in the first half was 11. That's the time remaining. Then you'll be checking in on that Georgia Tech-Michigan State game down in New Orleans when we go to the half.
Augmon out front, really active.
Great body control by Chandler Thompson. And puts it down and makes it a 2-point game again. There's the 3. So Young takes it to the corner, and it's 29-24.
Jerry Tarkanian thought Young was going to be one of the best shooters he ever had at UNLV. It hadn't worked out that way, but he could use him tonight to stretch that defense some.
But misfiring into the hands of Anthony, and back defensively very quickly. Ball State not giving them any breakouts, making them pound the ball in as Johnson misses. No guard has scored in this game. Isn't that amazing? Here we are with 5:18 to go, and the guards on both Ball State and UNLV have been shut down.
Billy Butts was 15 of 19 threes in his conference tournament and hadn't been able to throw it here tonight.
Good follow by McCurdy. And it's a 3-point game again. 29-26 at the 5-minute mark. Out to Johnson with rebounding position. And now on the second try, he puts it in.
That's what's so tough on that zone, to block him out. Nobody could get in position. McCurdy, who's playing the middle of the zone, couldn't get that down that low.
14 points and 9 rebounds for Larry Johnson.
2 teams that like to play hard-nosed man-to-man have reverted back to the zone because nobody's shooting it from the outside on either side. Ooh, Stacey Augmon had that one.
They're keeping Thompson outside.
7 seconds.
The pass to McCurdy. High.
Oh, my! Oh, Chandler Thompson, how do you do? Oh, baby! Brett, they said he jumped over an automobile this summer, and I always thought that 43-inch vertical leap was fictitious, but I'm not so sure now.
A 3 by Anthony to quiet things down. What a remarkable hoop here by Chandler Thompson.
Well, he led Muncie Central to the Indiana State High School Championship over a guy named Sean Kemp, who went right from high school to junior college to the pros.
Now the 3 misfiring again. Kid goes to run it down in the corner. And it's Ball State ball. Take another look at this dunk.
Over his own teammate.
Timeout on the floor.
We're talking about a young man that weighs 220 pounds, fans. Elevate himself.
A 43-inch vertical leap, and he used it all right there. Nothing has come easy in this tournament, with 13 games being decided by 2 points or fewer. Well, Marymount and Minnesota reached their first ever Final Eight. Paul Westhead and Clem Haskins. And 2 regional finals tomorrow. And here, with Ball State being the first Mid-American Conference school to get into the regional in 26 years. They beat Oregon State and Louisville. Now, if they can somehow come back against Las Vegas, find a solution to Johnson missing outside an offensive rebound, and there's a foul against UNLV.
Brent Chandler Thompson was fouled on that jump shot. Guy's getting a piece of the elbow. Travis Weiss hit him.
Stacey Augmon.
And you know, that's kind of amazing to get to this round. I think it's also amazing that the first time that anybody has repeated as conference champion in 26 years. Tark takes that familiar pose. He normally has that towel nice and damp on that forehead right about now. He's kind of surprised his club can't get control of this game.
Where's the towel? He's hiding it.
Yeah, he's not ready for it yet.
He had it earlier in the game for a time. He uses it to keep his lips moist. One of the trainers neatly folds it. Applies a little moisture to it before the game. 2:51 now. It's 34-30. UNLV with a 4-point lead.
And struggling.
Well, Ball State has looked him in the eye, boys. They're not backing away. And there's Mueller, who just entered the game, coming up. The turnover, and they're going to have to keep an eye on Thompson. They got to have respect after that monster dunk of his. Oh, and he goes and bangs a 3. Hey, can he leap tall buildings in a single bound?
Well, what I'd be nervous about if I was Jerry Tarkanian is he's not getting anything from the perimeter at all.
Weiss will try.
There's his
finally a 3.
He really needs that.
3-point basket.
Up by 4. 2:10 to go. And now Tarkanian off the chair, standing up.
And he also is not getting anything off the break. The floor balance of Ball State is just about as good as you'll ever see. They don't let you get the break. Nichols is not going to shoot. He's averaging a little over 1 shot a game on the year.
But he will. Did not get the roll. Taken away by the Revs Augmon. Here's Johnson in the break with Weiss now. Weiss will pull it up and check the 3. Not there. Yanked down Ball State. One and a half minutes, first half.
Big Anthony extending the zone. Dick Hunsaker able to dress McCurdy during this stretch, too.
They trap on Thompson, and he gets it off the UNLV player out of bounds. So it's Ball State ball with 15 on the shot clock.
For Ball State 33, Sean Paris.
You have Thompson trapped down there. James Jones gets it hit off his leg. Was the starting center for UNLV when David Butler was out as an academic casualty early in this year.
Miller puts it down, and Johnson's right there, and Augmon with great anticipation coming back on Nichols. Nichols staying with him, and he committed the personal.
Stacey putting that one in overdrive. But a good job by Nichols to stay with him. Normally, Stacey Augmon will beat you one-on-one on that break. But again, good defensive balance.
First personal, 7.
McCurdy looking like he has the world's worst toothache.
Oh, he's looking for Roland Lawrence of Arabia.
He'll be back in.
Stacey Augmon at the line,
1 minute to go. Dick Hunsaker showing real good patience here. He's got, as I said, 9 seniors on this club, using them very wisely here.
Sean, you got him?
Clark's got peppermint in there tonight, or what do you think? A little flavoring?
Free throws scored by
The lead goes back to 6 now. Final minute, first half.
Dick Hunsaker wanting his club to come out higher now so that they don't throw the ball cross court and get it intercepted. He'd like to use as much of that 45 as possible. He's going to have to obviously give it up. He's 14 seconds shy. Got the ball in the hands of the right guy.
Parrish is open. Missed it. Mueller misses the putback, and Johnson's off with another rebound, and UNLV with time. And it'll be Bice missing the three. Mueller rebounding. Out of time. Thompson, and it's an offensive foul with 10 seconds to go here in the first half. A little bit out of control. Commits his first personal.
Greg Anthony with that wired jaw, that broken jaw, still having the guts to hang in there against a 220-pounder coming full force at him. Drew the charge.
Daniel Cross back into the game, Billy.
Thompson had 14 seconds when he got the ball the other end. He should have taken his time. Could have got a better play than that.
The main man. Got another roll. 16 points for Larry Johnson. UNLV finishes off the first half with a 7-0 run. And they open up an 8-point lead. CBS Sports coverage of the NCAA Basketball Championship will continue after this message and a word from your local station.
CBS. I tell you, Chandler Thompson's dunk there in the first half, one of the 10 best I've ever seen in my entire life.
That's not bad for a guy who used to travel with Phi Slamma Jammer in the early 80s.
I tell you, with my Houston degree, I have the right to exercise my privilege. I'm giving him full-time permanent status in Phi Slamma Jamma with that dunk.
Reminded me of another Thompson, David Thompson,
Yeah.
NC State. No one floated better than David Thompson.
Ball State, though, staying in this game, although UNLV did have that run in the late going. 41-33, the score there. Now,
With Billy Packer, I'm Brent Musburger. A late spurt by the Runnin' Rebs, and they lead it 41-33. Billy, I don't know if guards on either of these teams can score a point.
Well, I'm even looking ahead beyond this game a little bit, Brandon. Neither team has shown it. I know.
Dangerous.
Well, I'm not the coach, nor am I rooting for either team, but
One
I
at a
haven't
time,
seen
Coach.
anybody stroke the ball well from the outside with any confidence at all. And we can see right here, if you're Ball State, you'll have 1 point from the backcourt at all. And UNLV has not done much better.
Only 29% Ball State is shooting. UNLV down to 42. At the free throw line, Ball State has gotten there 14 times and made 11. And leading scorers in the game, no surprise there, Thompson and Johnson. And we'll continue with the second half after this message and a word from your local station.
championship regional.
Of the starters for Ball State are in that scoring column, led by Thompson's 10, McCurdy with 8, and Kidd with 7. Miller scored 5 coming off the bench. Johnson with 16 leading the way for UNLV, and Augmon with 10. And Billy, this could be uphill now for Ball State.
But it could be that they've got to figure out some way to get some scoring. And they have not gotten it out of their backcourt. The guy that would really have to come to the front for them, if you ask me, is Billy Butts. Twice the MVP of his conference tournament, 2 years in a row. Got the eyes out of it there, but has not gotten untracked in the NCAA tournament.
And the winner will move into that confrontation against Loyola Marymount on Sunday. And Billy, you know, you did look ahead for a short time for UNLV, and you're absolutely right. They're going to need some perimeter scoring against that bunch too, because they won't slow it down like Wimp Sanderson did.
No, not with 1 day's preparation. UNLV would have to play their normal game, which is an up-tempo game. And if you're going to play Loyola Marymount that kind of game, you've got to get some three-point shots into your offense. Anderson Hunt would have to get untracked here in the second half.
But first things first, and this Ball State team has been resilient, if nothing else. And this foul is going to go against Ball State. That was Billy Butts pushing and committing his first personal to start the second half, and that's a negative start here for the Cardinals.
Dick Hunsaker, that's exactly what he's saying. Why are you calling a hand check or a push? You let so much go underneath the basket. Ball State just gives you that jump shot from the foul line.
And it rolls. He's got a fine touch, too, because he's had a lot of good rolls up there on the rim tonight. A 10-point lead. They once led by 11 when Ball State dug in and came back.
Nickel just not looking for the shot at all, which is what he does. The
deep pass. And Kidd on the turnaround from the left baseline.
got it over Butler's head, who's an excellent defender.
Johnson thought about the three.
Butts on Anderson Hunt, just not letting him get free.
Inside to Augmon. Double team from McCurdy. Defense works.
Great defense by McCurdy coming over to help.
Nice pass from McCurdy at the other end. Ball State quickly puts together field goals. 43-37.
Brent, they run just enough to keep you off balance, so you can't send 5 men to the board.
Johnson on the turn is fouled by Thompson.
I think it's going to be on Kidd.
Is it on Kidd? It was Thompson who raised his hand.
Oh, you're right.
That's
Kidd
his
was
second.
laughing. Good call.
His second, 2-team foul.
Johnson's alone.
He's doing it from everywhere.
20 points already for Larry Johnson, their junior power forward. Reminds you of Karl Malone, the way he plays. 45-37. Here's Kidd giving it up. Now Thompson to the left baseline. And Butler yanks it away.
Good job by Butler to keep his balance and not make the bad pass.
Roll. That's up over the top. That's no basket. That's a foul coming up over the back on that by Stacey Augmon. So there'll be no basket, and it's 45-37 still. Ball State's ball.
Stacey also used the backboard that time to elevate himself. It'd have been interesting to see if they'd have given him the basket when he used the backboard to his advantage if he hadn't committed the foul.
It's 3 personals on Augmon. And they turn it over. Nichols threw it out of bounds from the point.
Well, you can't afford to have a guard that doesn't score that also throws the ball away. So that's Nichols' role. Play defense and distribute the ball without turnovers.
Anthony missed everything. Saved, but into the hands of Ball State. What's bringing it down? Lead McCurdy. He falls hard to the floor. McCurdy's pull-up is on the money. One thing about this Ball State team, just when you get ready to count them out, they put on a little spurt and hang tough. It's 45-39 now, and they have not lost contact with the Runnin Rev check. Butler. Big rebound, and it winds up in Johnson's hands. Short on the shot, and Ball State's turn.
Brent, what's happening right now? Ball State packing their defense back now 2 feet inside the foul line. And UNLV can't find anybody to shoot from the outside other than Travis Weiss. In the first half, put up a couple out there. Going to be back to their man-to-man.
So McCurdy takes a shot. Nobody came over. Stand by Thompson. Scored a basket, and he's fouled.
Left-handed tap over David Butler. Sensational play. McCurdy didn't have anybody to pass to, so he just put it up. Some tap by Thompson with the left hand. Thompson has been one of the most outstanding players in the tournament so far. Brent, I'm going to go back to the UNLV Arkansas Little Rock game. They started off so well, lost their concentration.
Right.
They have not been in sync in this tournament since then.
Thompson on the outside, flat on the shot, into Augmon's hands. The 4-point UNLV lead. Hunt, the 3, and boy, did Jerry Tarkanian like to see that one go down. We say about 9. His first field goal sat out.
He was 1 for 13 in the NCAA tournament from the 3-point range prior to that shot.
Beautiful. Short. Tap back into Augmon's hands. They break out 4 on 2. And
Good no call by the official. I rest my case. Can he finish the break better than anybody in college game?
Well, it's 12 points for the game for Augmon. Delivered a message. The lead goes back to 9. Critical time for Ball State. McCurdy hits the three outside.
Paris McCurdy, 42, McCurdy.
Team badly needed a big play, and he turned it in. Now it's Butler's up at the line, and he'll roll in. That's 8 points for Butler.
David Butler on the trail, delayed fast break, can really pull up to hit that jumper from 15 to 18 feet. Haven't seen his range beyond that, but he can make that. Boy, UNLV's defense starting to pick up a little bit now. Solid screen.
Picked up too much there. Fouls on Anthony as Scurry checks into the game.
Well, Nichols set the screen. And it's Anthony's job to go ahead and go around him. He can't run right through him. We'll see Butler on a nice dish, and here's Stacey Augmon. Tomahawk. Good dish by Butler, who ran the lane very nicely. Kid gets over there too late. Or Butts, that was.
Take a timeout and come right back. 52-44.
Connecticut, Duke, Arkansas, Texas.
So the ball is impounded by Parrish for Ball State. They're behind 52-44. Inside of 15 minutes to go.
Parrish gave him a good lift in the first half. See if he can do anything here. Jerry Tarkanian goes back to the zone.
Butts on a fake. Anthony finds Augmon, and Nichols fouled him from behind. How about tomorrow's two regional finals, Billy?
Well, Brent, in the Duke-Connecticut game, I think Connecticut will be a fresher team. Duke really extended themselves last night against UCLA, and what a test for Bobby Hurley to go up against that great press that Connecticut has. The other game, Texas-Arkansas, I look for a bloodbath there. The way that Texas loves to play run and gun, I think Arkansas can play with them in that style, and it's tough to beat a team 3 times in a row, particularly one from your own conference with so much on the line.
Anthony bangs in the three.
2 threes in a row.
Him.
50, Anthony.
Remember what Anthony and Hunt did against Arkansas from the 3-point range. Between the two of them, they had 48 points in that game, and that's the style that Jerry Tarkanian needs back from his backcourt.
UNLV a little quicker in the Ball State team.
They're not allowing, with Anderson Hunt stepping out, and Greg Anthony stepping out, they're not allowing him to rotate that ball out front.
Great ending on that one. Down the southeast, 71-69 right now with 40 seconds to go. As soon as we get a final, we'll flash it along. Winner there will play Minnesota. Good defense that time. UNLV back with Hunt running the break, keeping it off the miss, and it is pulled down by Cross.
Nichols just not providing any offense. Rick Hunsaker needing to get somebody else out there that can put something on the board. He went primarily all inside the first half. Didn't get a point out of his backcourt, and not much more here in the second half.
Stacey Augmon with tremendous defensive anticipation.
And the wingspan, when he plays out there on these wings, it's tough to get any by him.
There he is with a great play. Wound up back in Ball State's hands. They miss on the inside, and finally it's Parrish cleaning it up.
So, Harris, 33, Harris.
Butler on the turnaround.
David Butler's had a fine shooting night. Butler doesn't pack the weight, but he's extremely quick.
Billy, UNLV is the best team I've seen in the tournament. It's going to take a great game to knock them out. Shots like that. As Butts comes through with the three, 57-49.
Butts, of course, started off his career at Michigan, played behind Antoine Jobert, but played 20 games his freshman year and then transferred out. Went to junior college and then on with Rick.
So we've got a timeout at 12:27. And when Ball State comes back, they're going to have to face Larry Johnson.
The world's most
Well, it's 57-49. Ball State trailing. Ball State's the last Indiana school still in the tournament. And speaking of Indiana, there's probably no event much bigger than the state tournament finals.
Well, sold it out every year for 60-some-odd years, and of course smashing all attendance records for basketball now. They put it in the dome, and they're saying, what, 40-some thousand seats sold out for the games. You have to win 2 in the same day to make it all the way through.
2 semifinals tomorrow, and then the winners come back for the championship tomorrow night. There's a familiar face in one of the games.
Damon Bailey, who's been there before, trying to get his first state championship to go with all the other great records that he's had as a high school performer.
Billy, what must Hunsinger and the Cardinals do to get back in this one?
Well, you know, they've got themselves to a situation now where they've got to start going back inside. McCurdy was getting it done, but he's not in the game. I think Dick Hunsinger's going to have to get back with McCurdy here shortly. Get some points.
Thompson made a dangerous move underneath the Vegas basket to try a save like that, and Augmon makes him pay the price for it. 59-49, 12 minutes and a 10-point Runnin Rev lead.
UNLV extending their defense now. Nobody guarding right now, Kidd, because Larry Johnson wasn't sure of the defense. Now they got it settled.
Inside with this. Parrish with an offensive rebound. Thompson on the inside. What a basket.
That was a right-handed tap-in. He made the left hand earlier over Butler, and now the right hand follow-up over Larry Johnson.
The foul on Larry Johnson.
Great play.
Wow.
14 fouls. Chandler Thompson at the line, shooting 1.
Remember what Rick Majerus said, and this was the finest talent. And he certainly may be right about this young man. You'd be very tempted to start running some isolation for him in this game. No points for hitting the monitor.
Jerry Tarcani, look at his eyes, looking straight up. His club, Brent, they may be ahead, but they are not playing the game that he'd like to see. And a lot of that can be attributed to the fact that Ball State's a tough club to get away from. But he just doesn't have his offense running nicely.
Thompson with that leap and staying right with him was Augmon that time. Out of bounds, Ball State ball. Boy, that was a great test, wasn't it? You got one of the finest offensive players in the tournament in Chandler Thompson going up against Stacey Augmon. Augmon blocked 3 shots.
Anthony from behind.
Blocking foul is the call against the Reds. 4 fouls on Hunt. He had 3 in the early going, and now he has 4.
Well, if Anderson Hunt had held his ground and let Butts come into him, he'd have been all right. But he went and made that little move to create the contact, and that picked up number 4. Here's Bice, who had that 2 or 3 good jump shots in the first half and got things rolling for the Revs.
Replacement time for the Runnin Rebels.
Like an all Big Ten final down that way, Brent.
Ball State ball.
Stacey Augmon's taking a challenge right now with Thompson. Great to have a defender that just wants to shut out another great player.
And here's their guy. Thompson gives it up now, and he'll go on the inside. Emmanuel cross. Thompson sets the pick. Butts trying to come around. Puts it out of bounds. Took his eye off the receiver.
And there was no reason that time for Thompson to be cutting to the basket.
McCurdy returns with 10:30 to go. Ball State down by 8.
You can see that Dick Hunsaker is trying to keep one major score in the game at the same time. He can't afford to keep Thompson out of the game for more than like 2 or 3 minutes here. He wants to make a stretch drive. Johnson's going to be sore tonight.
Stolen by McCurdy. Great anticipation and hustle. Never quits for you. Well, the guard play is really shaky for Ball State. All right, it's a held ball situation, and it's going to go over.
And just good hard-nosed basketball on the floor by both teams. See, McCurdy's going to go down for it. Greg Anthony gets it, slaps around. Butts gets it 2 or 3 times. Johnson gets a hand on it. Anthony again goes to, he's going to go to the floor. He just gives up that body.
Broken jaw and all. Folks who follow the Runnin' Rebs are aware of that story. What a crash he took. Fracture that jaw. Just kept on going, wired it up.
Good defense by McCurdy.
Tarkanian says he's the toughest player he's ever seen. Augmon misses with that shot. Ball State.
Stacey only had 1 3-pointer 2 years ago. He's improved that part of his game, but
Great pass by Nichols to a cutting Parrish. That's one of the best moves by one of the Ball State guards in this game, and it's 59-53. It's only 6. 9:26. One is short. Kid yanks it away, and Nichols now comes down again for the Cardinals.
Denny Crum probably sitting at home saying this looks just like the game that we played. Only in that game, Ball State had the big lead, but I'm talking in terms of the flow, not getting anything from the backcourt.
Inside the kid on the turnaround, and he hits it.
Brings Park off his feet.
UNLV has not scored in the last 3 minutes and 10 seconds.
Johnson wants that ball, but Kidd's strong enough.
Great defense right now by Ball State to climb back in. They miss again. Kidd with the rebound now. Nichols and Cross in the backcourt. 59-55. 8:28. And here come the Cardinals.
Well, I think of Kidd and McCurdy playing against NC State with Washburn and Shackelford 3 years ago when they were down there at Arkansas Little Rock.
Parrish goes to McCurdy. Johnson turned the wrong way, but it won't fall. Off is Augmon now, and it's Anthony. Ball State back defensively. Will not give him a breakout.
Their guards have great floor balance.
Augmon penetrates. And it's good, and he'll come up to the line with 16 points. Stacey Augmon in a big hoop here for the Runnin' Rebs.
Great drive across the lane by Stacey Augmon. Puts it up right-handed with a half hook. He has really been the savior in both ends of the floor tonight. With the exception of he and Johnson and Butler, there's not been much offense. Gets the roll.
And 1. On the line, shooting 1.
Vegas on the year's place. 15 games against teams in the tournament. 10-5 up to tonight.
With a timeout, UNLV leads it by 7. Brent Musburger with Billy Packer here in Oakland. UNLV leading Ball State by 7. And Georgia Tech and Michigan State will head to overtime. Kenny Anderson just hit a 2-pointer, and it was so close to being a 3. Billy, what I've always wanted to do is to do 2 games at once. So you watch this one while I watch this off air on Georgia Tech and Michigan State. Okay?
I'll tell you, every game in this tournament has just been a delight. We have one right here that's a lot closer than a lot of people thought, but every time if Ball State makes the run, it looks like they've got a chance to catch up. Stacey Augmon comes to the front.
Yeah, Augmon has been a clutch player.
And I had
out right now. They're giving him a break. UNLV sliding through his zone. They come to McCurdy, and it was Moses Scurry with the rejection. Cianovich bringing it down, working with Hunt, Johnson, Scurry, and Young now handling the ball. That's the 5 Runnin Rebs on the floor at the 7:15 mark.
Moses Scurry picks up the foul, back it in. There's the block coming up. McCurdy puts up a great shot. Moses comes all the way across the lane, gets it at the peak. McCurdy thought he had this one. This is a fine block on the way up.
For Ball State, number 31, Greg Miller, replaces Sean Harris.
Nichols looking for another good dish inside, doesn't get it. And you're going to be back to their zone. Good
Miller
patience.
gives it up to Cross. And Nichols, they'll bring it down to 10 seconds on that shot clock.
Miller can shoot the 3 from out there.
Nichols penetrates, takes his first shot of the tournament. McCurdy off with the rebound, and he is short. McCurdy, though, runs it down again. Fresh 45. There, kid on the inside, and Miller goes after it.
Great offensive rebounding by Ball State. They just wouldn't be denied on the inside. But how many times you see people when the clock is running down, the shot goes up, the offensive rebound's there, and the defense kind of relax. McCurdy just put it right back and kept things alive.
That was our final earlier. Won it in the last 30 seconds. Minnesota up in Syracuse, and in overtime, Georgia Tech takes a lead on Michigan State at the free throw line.
We've been talking about offensive rebounds. Ball State doubling the mark on UNLV.
Tech up by 2 points on Michigan State. And overtime just underway, and we'll keep you up to date on that. Butler with the miss. 6:19 to go. 7-point lead.
Everybody that steps out the top of the key for UNLV never looks for the shot, and that's where Ball State's packing things back in.
Cianovich with the miss. Finally, Kidd gets it for Ball State.
Sheds the defenders.
Clear out area in a hurry, folks.
There's some mutual respect by the bodies out here in this game.
Chandler Thompson's got a nice rest. Down away from the ball, and Gene Manji stops play as Tarkanian looks down at the end of his bench, and Chandler Thompson reports in for Ball State.
What happened there is Kidd's wristband fell off onto the floor, and I think the official wasn't sure whether it maybe was another piece of equipment in terms of some kind of a wrap, so he stopped things.
Michigan State missed in an attempt to tie the game, and at the other end, Georgia Tech has gotten back to the free throw line again, but they missed the front end, and now the Spartans will come back down. In overtime, down in New Orleans, 77-75, Georgia Tech in that one.
Oh, good hands. Moses Scurry screams as only he can do.
62-55. Getting the ball into Butler, and McCurdy fouled him.
Just a hand check. McCurdy's going to talk to the official about that. There's been a lot more banging around than that to call a hand check from behind.
Michigan State just hit a 3 with 5 left on the shot clock, and they take a 1-point lead, 78-77 over Georgia Tech.
Stacey Augmon taking it right to the spot where the defense is giving him something, right in the middle on the foul line.
4:50 here, 2:50 in overtime in that game in New Orleans.
Good pick and roll.
And defense on the inside by McCurdy. What a fine defensive play.
That was a great defensive play coming from the weak side, but you talk about a pick and roll. This is a classic. screen, roll to the inside, great bounce pass, and only McCurdy's outstanding defensive play prevented a layup.
Neither team has scored now for the last 3 minutes and 10 seconds. We've been sitting on 62-55, and it's 4:45 for the game, and Johnson gets the ball, and Thompson finally yanks it away. Michigan State has the ball back against Georgia Tech. And the lead with that three-pointer. They're up by 1.
Ball State down 7, has to be a little bit more active, looking for the shot. Oh, McCurdy again. What a competitor. He might not be the best player in this tournament, but I don't know if anybody works any harder, puts more effort into it.
Georgia Tech ball in New Orleans inside of 2 minutes. Michigan State leading, and Georgia Tech has just gone ahead by a point as Kenny Anderson penetrated into the point and into the paint in that one. Here at 62-55 now. Thompson coming back with a big hoop for Ball State.
Thompson, Thompson.
Down to 5, time for Larry Johnson to touch it one time.
And Augmon goes out and fires in a 3.
Can you believe that? Every time that Ball State has made a run, it's been Stacey Augmon with some kind of play. I never thought he'd take that.
Michigan State missed Georgia Tech with the ball. 1:15 to go, and Tech leads it by a point, 79-78.
It's time for Larry Johnson. They've really ignored him here since he came back in, but they're not touching him.
Butler muscling it back in for UNLV. Now 3:20. 67-59. Butler's a miss. And Kidd fouls Johnson.
To show you how strong Larry Johnson is, Kidd at 250 came over his back, had a piece of the ball, and never got it out of Johnson's hands.
So here we've got a timeout at 3:10. We'll come back and give you both scores in just a moment. Well, here Ball State is hanging in the neighborhood with 3:10. Meanwhile, in that Michigan State game, 30 seconds remain in overtime down there, and Georgia Tech with a 1-point lead. Kenny Anderson missed the front end of a 1-on-1. Michigan State came down with an offensive set. The ball was held, and the possession arrow goes to the Spartans. They will have the ball out of bounds. 32 seconds remaining in the game. And it was Kenny Anderson who hit one at the buzzer to send it into overtime. And here UNLV and White bringing it up now at the 3-minute mark. It's 67-59. They have a timeout down there in New Orleans, so play has stopped in that game.
Purdy out on Butler, not giving him anything. Kidd still battling down inside with Johnson. Notice how Butler looked off to his right. Thought there should be somebody in the corner in that offensive set. Nobody was there. But luckily, he didn't throw the ball away.
Rolling off. Ball State runs it down. Time has come for the Cardinals if they're going to strike. Kidd on the turnaround, and Johnson pulls away a huge rebound. That's number 13 for Larry Johnson.
But you would think, it looks like they're trying to commit a foul now to foul the rest of the way. That's an early to start thinking about fouling to get the ball back.
Left, and it's 67-59.
2 minutes to go in the ball game, and you start the plan of fouling to get the ball back.
That will put Greg Anthony in the line for UNLV, shooting 1-and-1.
Talk about an outstanding young man right here. Remember the young Republicans working on his real estate license as a private camera business?
Hey, the young Democrats want equal time.
Oh,
You
well.
gotta find somebody out there who's on the other side. Get off with the miss.
But he likes broccoli.
Now, in that game in New Orleans, Georgia Tech fouled, and Michigan State, trailing by a point, goes up to the free throw line with 23 seconds to go. Michigan State down by a point. And the three. Chandler Thompson giving them a chance. 68-62, 145.
So they're going to lose 9 seniors, but they are going to have one man back that can play.
And in New Orleans there, Michigan State hit both free throws to go up by a point. 20 seconds to go now as Kenny Anderson brings it down for the Ramblin' Wreck. Foul is on Thompson. 11 seconds. Georgia Tech gets inside and hits the hoop. 8 seconds to go for Michigan State. They're down a point now, 81-80. No timeout. Now the clock is stopped down there with 4 seconds to go. They did not get it stopped. The way they broke out, it looked like they didn't have any timeouts remaining. And they wasted 3 seconds on the clock down there, and they've got a timeout. Here we've got 1:20 to go, 68-62. UNLV with the lead and Augmon on the line.
Stacey Augmon, 1-1.
But the Minnesota Syracuse game seems like a blowout for this tournament. What was that, 7 points?
And a 68-65.
Now that strategy that Dick Hunsaker tried with the fouls early, he's pulled the defense way out now, which means there's room for Larry Johnson inside. Jerry Tarkanian has gone to his 4 corners.
Anything can happen in this edition of the NCAA.
20 seconds left on the clock. Now remember what Augmon has done when he's had the ball in his hands. He's finished things off for UNLV every time tonight.
Here's Butler. Oh! Pulled an intentional foul on McCurdy.
When it was down to 10 seconds, and they wanted to put somebody other than Anthony on the line, but not a smart play.
And Hunsaker will call a timeout. You could see the signal to his players. He wanted a timeout. We've got 34 seconds remaining, and UNLV leading it by 3. We'll come back with both stories in just a moment. Come down to the final buzzer. Here UNLV at the free throw line with 34 seconds, leading a tenacious Ball State team by 3. Meanwhile, in New Orleans, Michigan State, trailing Georgia Tech by 1 in overtime, will take the ball out of bounds with 4 seconds to go. The Spartans squandered about 3 seconds trying to get the ball in. An intentional foul. And in New Orleans, it is over. Georgia Tech advances. Georgia Tech beats Michigan State, a 1-point overtime win. And here, Butler hits that one in. It is 69-65, and now they get the ball out of bounds. So the intentional foul call really hurt. And welcome, everybody, to the final 34 seconds of this one, as Ball State is forced to commit a personal. They had closed back into within 3, and then the biggest call of the game. Paris McCurdy was called for an intentional foul. Butler made one of the free throws against Dick Hunsaker's Ball State team. And now it is 69-65, and they were forced to foul again here.
Well, Brent, McCurdy's foul, the shot clock was down to 10 seconds, and they had Butler 30 feet from the basket. It really was not a wise foul at all. They really had UNLV in some jeopardy, and just down 3, they could have gone for a good 3-point shot.
But McCurdy is off with the miss. It's a 4, 30 seconds. They need to hurry now. They need a couple of hoops so they can go.
But Vegas not giving a 3.
And Vegas is not giving them a thing, so they go inside the Thompson, take the 2. 19 seconds and timeout is called. Billy, are you surprised that they gave up the 2?
Yes.
They needed 2 trips. 3 was not going to tie it.
I understand. They didn't want to give up the 3, and I agree with you. Get back to arithmetic, Brent. When you're up 4, or when you're down 4, the 3 doesn't do any good. You got to get 2 trips. So you give. They should have played normal defense. I would agree with you. A 3 wouldn't have hurt them.
I guess we can all take a deep breath and just look back on what has been such a glorious tournament. Those of you who watched Georgia Tech in overtime against Michigan State, the Spartans, unfortunately for their fans, squandering what appeared to be about 3 seconds. And here the winner will move along and play Loyola Marymount. Tomorrow we'll have a couple of regional finals coming your way. That'll give you a good overview. Ball State has been held to 34%. Very good UNLV defense. I think if there's anything about Tarkanian's program that is underrated, it is the way he teaches defense. That's the key to winning here. As far as timeouts are concerned, Ball State with 1 and UNLV with 3. But we're down to the last 19 seconds, and the way things have gone in this tournament, who knows what's going to transpire here.
Well, Dick Hunsicker went to the fouling technique with 2 minutes to go in this game, and it's worked very effectively for him now, and I would expect him to go for the immediate steal and then go to the foul right away to get that ball back in his hands.
Well, Marymount awaits the winner on Sunday. Georgia Tech will play Minnesota in the other regional final on Sunday. Then tomorrow you'll have a doubleheader coming your way with Connecticut and Duke, and then the Battle of the Southwest, Arkansas and Texas. So more excitement still to come. And for Jerry Tarkanian, even if they survive, he cannot be pleased.
Dick Hunsicker is on the court. He better get himself back. He's out of the coaching box.
Time remaining, and Billy pointed out, they'll go to the foul right away.
They want Butler to catch this ball, so they're going to double team on Anthony. Let Butler catch it and try to foul him.
But they got it into Anthony. They pulled off. McCurdy jumped over, and Nichols commits the foul, and Anthony will come up here with 18 seconds to go, and UNLV leading it by 2. As far as the scoring is concerned, Augmon has hit 20 points along with Johnson, but Stacey Augmon has been really the main warrior for Tarkanian here in the second half. Thompson with 21 points for Ball State. Nichols just fouled out of the game. That was his 5th, so he leaves. And Stacey Augmon has put on an all-star performance here in the second half, though.
He really has. He started the break so well in the first half, and it seemed that every time Ball State made a run, Stacey Augmon would come up with a big play either on offense or defense. But I thought they would really double team to keep the ball out of Anthony's hands that last time down. Try to force Butler to touch the ball.
You know, I think a lot of fans are just emotionally spent at this point. They've been through
game after game after game. Dick Hunsicker taking off. He can. Now, what he's doing is a wise move right here, and the reason that he's doing that is because you have McCurdy talking to the foul shooter, and this almost is a way to get him to freeze the foul shooter without calling the timeout. You see McCurdy went by, Anthony gave him another little conversation.
He's 1 for 3 at the line, and he's missed his last 2. But this is the biggest free throw of the night from Mr. Anthony. And Kidd's got it. Ball State with a chance here. And 14 seconds, and timeout is called. They'll have 12.6. Hold on, everybody. We're not finished tonight yet.
Amazing.
State of the Mid-American Conference trying to write yet another amazing chapter. And already tonight, Loyola Marymount eliminated Alabama. They had to do it in the last 30 seconds. Georgia Tech needed overtime to beat out Michigan State. And I guess that was the blowout of the tournament. 82-75 as Minnesota goes to the regional final for the first time ever. One thing about this Ball State team, no club has scored 80 points against Ball State yet. And unless we play a couple of overtimes, it isn't going to happen tonight either. Oregon State was held to 53 points, Louisville to 60, and now UNLV at 69. And tomorrow, start off with the East from the Meadowlands. And all of you know the story there. Duke almost unbeatable in the Meadowlands. And then you'll go down to Dallas, Arkansas, and Texas in what figures to be a very emotional scene. Then in New Orleans, Georgia Tech and Minnesota. And finally here, it'll be Loyola Marymount against who knows. We've got 12.6 seconds. Ball State with a chance to tie it or go ahead with a 3.
Well, Billy Butts is the guy for the 3, but Chandler Thompson would be the guy. He's got Stacey Augmon on him. See if they try to clear him out for something one-on-one.
Spicer and McCurdy slips, comes up into Spicer's hands. The lob, and he throws it away, and UNLV has won it. UNLV goes to the regional final.
Oh, we got some real problem at half court.
Hunsinger and several of the players were yelling at each other. But now I think it is all calmed down here. Butler comes over to Coach Hunsinger. It might have been Moses Scurry. Let's see if we can sort this out. McCurdy goes down here, and they have difficulty, and they lose precious seconds. Now watch McCurdy. He slips down. Fortunately for Ball State, he wasn't called for traveling. Gets it to Spicer. Not much time. They go for the lob to Thompson, but it was just not deep enough. And Butler, with his size, and he is 6'10", he was able to come away with it. So Jerry Tarkanian finally able to smile. And the Shark heads for the regional final. 69-67 over Ball State. And it'll be Loyola Marymount against UNLV, a rematch of a game won by the Runnin Rebs when the season started. And our Chevrolet players of this game, Chandler Thompson, who was sensational for Ball State, and Stacey Augmon, he had the big hoops for UNLV down the stretch. And Chevrolet will donate $1,000 to the General Scholarship Fund of both schools. Let's take a deep breath, everybody, and send you to Jim Nance. Jim?
Okay. Boy, I'll tell you, everyone's taking a deep breath tonight, and a gritty performance by Ball State just coming up short against UNLV. But we have unearthed a controversy in that victory by Georgia Tech down to the Superdome, Mike. And let's talk about it. At the end of regulation, Kenny Anderson hit a shot. There's some debate whether it was a 2 or whether it was a 3.
His foot was clearly on the line, Jim, but lost in this whole shuffle here is whether he got the ball off before the horn sounded.
You can see that the double out there as the ball is still in Anderson's hand, but the question is the horn. It's just like last night.
Right.
The horn is
Forget the 0-0, the horn. Did he get the ball off? Is it in flight before the horn sounds?
That's when the game is over. So let's listen now to the finish of this game. Listen up to the horn. Boy, what do you think? You know, last night I never would have thought there could be a shot or such a close call as Tate George to be duplicated in this tournament. This is closer, and it's the very next night. Let's listen one more time. Listen for the horn. Well, at face value, you think there's a good chance the ball was still in Anderson's hands. But there is a telling piece of tape. We have slowed it down and listened to it in slow motion. And you will see, without question, the ball was indeed in Anderson's hands as the horn sounded. The goal should have never counted. Listen up. Somewhere through that muffle, you can actually hear the horn starting. That's the slowest speed as we can have it. In fact, we should go back and show it to you one more time as Kenny Anderson's shot, which was ruled a 2, a 2-point basket, and sent it into overtime, and Georgia Tech went on to win it again. Here it is again, Mike.
And remember, the ball has got to be in flight before the horn sounds.
Okay, so Georgia Tech goes on to win that game in overtime over Michigan State and move on to the Southeast Regional Final. And I really think, Mike, what happened there is the officials